Welcome to the Empowerment of Purpose podcast, a podcast designed to boost your courage and inspire you to get your week started with great determination, powered by Purpose Living Leadership Center. Please relax and follow through as we go into today's episode.
Most people think growth is external. They think it's about a better life, a better title, more money, or perhaps more recognition. It's not always about any of that, because real growth is internal, not external. It is the shift in how you think, how you respond. It's that shift in your mindset. And when you are changed internally, you are sustained. Growth is the sustaining power. Hi, and welcome to the podcast series titled Growth Isn't What You Think It Is. Thank you always for your time. You are greatly appreciated. It's always an honor for me coming your way each time. Kindly subscribe and share this podcast with others so we all can continue to grow together. In this episode, I'll be sharing with you the three phases of growth. The three phases of growth. And what I like to do is to kind of break growth down into something practical through examples for leaders, entrepreneurs, and each and every one of us as individuals. Because growth isn't random. It is not random. It follows a pattern. And that's why we want to look at the three phases of growth. Growth follows a pattern. The three phases, and once you see these phases, once you see them, you start to recognize them, whatever phase of it you may be in your life right now. You begin to recognize them and know exactly where you are, so that you can continue to move forward. So, let's begin. Phase number one is the phase that I call the disruption phase. Disruption phase. Growth always starts with something that appears not to be working, something that seems to have broken, something that feels off, something that used to be fine and suddenly it seems like it's no longer fine. For entrepreneur, it might be a business that appears to have stopped growing. Listen to me. Mark my words, appears to have stopped growing. For a leader, it might be a team that feels disconnected. You feel that as a leader, your team members are currently not working together. Everybody appears to be working on their own, disconnected. For anyone as individuals, it could be the phase of burnout, frustration, or just a feeling that this isn't it. Makes you ask yourself the question, what is going on? Hear this. At that moment, it is not failure. It is not failure. It's the beginning of growth, because growth will always start the moment comfort ends. All right? You feel all of this is a disruption. You're in that phase where you are feeling that everything seems upside down. It is growth. It is a phase, and it's the very first phase of growth. That is the destruction phase of growth. The second phase of growth is the resistance phase. The resistance phase. This phase is where it gets hard. Yes, it gets hard at the resistance phase. And if you cannot resist, you won't be able to go past this phase. Because once you realize something needs change, you have actually to put yourself together and face it. You have to get yourself into a space where you will face it. And most people don't, because it is resistance stage. This is where doubts begin to show up. You begin to doubt yourself. Did I really hear right? Was I really convinced? Or was I just fooling myself, living in denial? You start overthinking things. You look for quick fixes. You begin to compare yourself to your peers, to other people who appears that they have figured it out. Listen, you are on the outside looking in. It looks as if they have mastered it. It may look as if they have figured it out, but you are that phase yourself. Is called the restriction phase. A leader, giving you example now, as a leader, you begin to avoid to have the hard conversation with your team members. Yeah, it's the phase of the growth that you are in. Hard and difficult conversations must take place. You may not like it, but you have to. Very important. Or as an entrepreneur, you jump to a new idea instead of you fixing the real problem of the phase that you are in. Maybe, like I said moments ago, the business appears not to be growing. Instead of you facing the real problem, you quickly jump to a new idea. Shouldn't do that. You need to recognize the phase of growth that you are in. Or maybe an individual who decides to distract themselves instead of addressing what actually is bothering them. You put on a distraction, and like we say, begin to live in denial. You need to be able to confront the actual situation that is bothering you. At this phase, this second phase of growth, you may be feeling like you are stuck. No, my friend, you are not stuck, but you are resisting. Yes, it is resistance in action. You must understand that resistance isn't a sign of failure. Let me say it again. Resistance is not a sign of failure. It is a sign you are getting close to change and you are growing. That's what it means. You are getting close to change and you are in the phase of growing. So number one phase, disruption. Number two phase, resistance. The number three phase of growth is integration, the integration phase. At this stage, growth becomes real. Yes, we all want that. We love that. We love to be at this phase. It becomes real. Not because everything is perfect. This is very important to understand. It's not real because everything now seems perfect, but because you are now different. You have grown. You have gone beyond the burnout phase. You have gone beyond the overthinking phase. You now are able to make decisions faster. You set boundaries now. You stop needing constant validation like you normally do. Before you move ahead, you know you've always wanted other people's validation. You've gone past that stage, not because you are now proud, but because you are grown and you are aware of your growth. You can now say no when it's not convenient without feeling guilty. Without feeling guilty, you now are able to say no when it's not convenient. As a leader, you start trusting your team members instead of controlling everything. You can go on that vacation, leave someone else in charge, and not have sleepless nights. You sleep well at night, knowing fully well that everything is in control. The team is not going to collapse. As an entrepreneur, you start building systems. You begin to build systems instead of relying on hustles. Systems will begin to work for you. You now believe in systems and not in, hustling. Okay? As an individual, you now begin to choose discipline. You are now going to begin to choose discipline even when they don't feel like it. When you don't feel like it, you choose discipline. You decide to discipline yourself even when your body, everything doesn't feel like that. And here's the key. Growth sticks when it becomes part of who you are, when it becomes a lifestyle for you and not just something that you are trying to do. No matter who you are, growth asks only one question of each and every one of us. And what is that question? And the question is that you must evolve and repeat. For leaders, growth is learning to let go of your control. I said it before, you need to learn to let go of your control. It is your ability to begin to trust people, letting them make mistakes and realizing your job isn't to have all of the answers. A leader must have that realization that their job as a leader is not that they must have all of the answers. There is nothing wrong if you don't know. There isn't anything wrong if you have to go research and come back with an answer. When you come to that realization, that you begin to know that you don't necessarily have to have all of the answers, it's to create an environment where others can find those answers. That's your job. For entrepreneur, growth is shifting from constant hustle into intentional strategy. You are growing into intentional strategies, looking for ways to have strategies in place, strategies that work. It's not about you and I doing more. It's about doing what actually matters and what actually works. Yes, what matters and what works, and having the discipline to ignore all the other things. Yes, that is growth. That you are able to ignore all those things that used to matter to you in the past, but they have no value. They are not adding value to you. You have the ability to now begin to ignore them and pay attention to the things that matter. For each and every one of us as individuals, let me tell you this: growth is self-awareness. Your self-awareness that you now realize you are now aware of the point where you are, followed by your action. Not huge, not dramatic changes, but small decisions that you are going to be making consistently. Small decisions that you'll be making consistently, choosing what is right over what is easy. It's not about it is easy, but it's about the fact that it is right. And you are doing that again and again because you put it on a repeat. I will stop here, and on the next episode, we are going to go into clarifying some other things. Thank you. See you on the next episode.